Welcome to Books Without Borders. Today, we're going to be looking at the book Struggling to Surrender by Jeffrey Lang. In 1982, Jeffrey Lang, a 28-year-old white professor of mathematics at the University of Kansas, converted to Islam. Lang talks about his subsequent experiences and his views on reforming Islam. Like many other American converts, Lang felt dissatisfied with American life and refers in an offhand way to our society's unrelenting greed and neglect. He found himself inching toward Islam through warm personal relations, then finally making the leap. It began easily. He tells of the jubilation and relief his conversion brought to his Muslim friends, followed by their hugs. But things quickly became more challenging. He characterizes the transition as, and I quote, "a journey from individualism to traditionalism, from learning to illumination, from the sensible to the unseen, from reason to intuition." Lang made a serious study of Islam and reflects in an informed way on such issues as the validity of the Hadith, reports on the sayings and doings of the Prophet Muhammad, and the position of women. He argues that Islam's special quality lies in its rationality, and that it can only inspire to be more than just another religion, if Muslims take a rationally compelling case. Lang tackles topics that are often wondered upon by the curious mind and criticised by people that often detest everything. Lang's self-described transition from Christianity through atheism to Islam was not only a profound spiritual experience, but also a fullness of intellectual and spiritual seeking, as seen by his lengthy reference of Muhammad Asad to authors such as Martin Lings. Lang's discovery that only a root derived from old wisdom traditions could take him to actual truth ended in his realization that he needed to move away from the transitions. Struggling to Surrender presents challenging insights into Muslim beliefs and fundamentals of faith for the Western reader, Muslim or not, with special emphasis on how to approach and/or study the Quran. Understanding, in the sense of cross-religious understanding between monotheistic traditions and all faiths in general, is one of Lang's goals. His advice to research and learn about different faiths has never been more vital than it was when the book was written 20 years ago. Yet it's both easier and harder to do so now than it was then. Easier in the sense that never before there has been so much knowledge available to everyone, but tougher in the sense that the propaganda, especially against Islam in the Western world, has never been stronger. The book is more of a reflection on Lang's opinions, thoughts on Islamic life, than it is a chronicle of a conversion. Professor Lang shares a very personal narrative of his search for God, after discovering that his inherited religious beliefs were no longer able to provide answers to his questions. He converted to Islam after a fortuitous encounter. But how will he adjust to his new community's values and way of life? I found Lang's book to be an enjoyable and informative read. It's ideal for someone with questions about Islam, someone who is new to the faith, or someone just interested in studying religion. Struggling to Surrender is more of a commentary on the linguistic analysis of the language used in the Quran, the cultural adaptation of this religion, how it feels to be a convert in a foreign community, and some historical context and narration of events that have passed in regards to religion and politics. I really enjoyed this book, however, in the beginning I was a little hesitant when I read the title. However, by no means can anyone judge a book on its title alone. Alternatively, compared to many of the corrupt influence based on medieval literature which flagrantly abuses the truth of Islam, Struggling to Surrender can help to bridge the gap between East and West. Dr. Lang provides a well-grounded perspective of Islam to the Western world. In this day and age, we should learn from the mistakes of the past, travel beyond our fears, and use the greatest gift from God, wisdom, For the Western reader, Muslim or not, the book provides challenging insights into Muslim beliefs and tenets of faith, with a particular importance placed on how to approach and/or read the Quran. One of Lang's goals is understanding. His admonition for increased study and knowledge of other faiths has become even more crucial than when this book was written many years ago. And in many ways, it's both easier and harder to gain this important understanding. Easier in the sense that never before has so much information been universally available, yet harder in the sense that the propaganda, particularly in the Western world against Islam, has never been greater. Both Christians and Muslims must be careful about the sources they use to gain information about the other, just as they must be sure that they are returning to the true universal teachings of their own faiths. I was happy to hear his honest assessment of the Palestine issue. I was amazed by his interest in the science of hadith, in his presentation regarding the credibility of the Prophet's biography narrations, which had me rereading lines and pages many times to understand what he actually meant. His logical and sensible manner of thinking and discussing, free of emotions and fancies, in almost articulated subjects, whether in the life of the nation or the individual, inspired me. I like how he acknowledged that there are two different sides to converts. On the one hand, he acknowledges that converts can be the most severe and rigid in their ideas and practices, and that they are often among the least tolerant of Muslims. At the same time, not being grounded in traditions, they are likely to bring with them radical, alien ideas that he believes can go far to rejuvenate Islam and render it extremely appealing to a Western audience. My only one critical comment would be that, certainly in the edition that I read, there were many typos and grammatical errors. It's slightly off-putting when you're trying to concentrate on the content within a text. Struggling to Surrender is an enjoyable read. It is aimed at recent converts to Islam, but it's nevertheless a profound and insightful reading experience for all Muslims. The author tackles such controversial topics such as apostasy, jihad, and women in Islam with ease by supporting his thoughts throughout the book with verses from the Quran. Dr. Lang taught me a lot, including that I should never accept things as they are without first inquiring and searching for answers, and that I should read and learn until I am completely convinced. I admire how he spoke about himself clearly and without the fear of being judged. I would recommend this book for those who are not afraid to ask tough questions. I would like to hope it would encourage people to read more and wider references on faith. As Dr. Lang quotes, "Jihad is the struggle in faith, to follow the path of God rather than man." If you've liked this review, please check out our channel and subscribe. You can find many more reviews like this one on our channel from a number of different titles.